notes ready. Disclaimer, this is for entertainment purposes only. I am bringing facts. I don't cite my stuff, but this is just for commentary purposes to share my opinions with you and like you to share your opinions with me. I got some interesting comments on my first two videos I did about the birth rate because there's so much to say. I wanted to make more content, but then some comments really provoked me, and I appreciate that. Addie, hey, how are you doing? I love that picture. Is that a dog with sunglasses? That's so cute. Yeah. I've had a pretty good day today. I'm sorry I was later. I said I'd be on at 10. I'm like, I can never be on time, but this time it really wasn't like all my fault. But I hate to say I like blame somebody else, but I was picking my son up and his friend's mom was talking to me and she's super duper sweet. It's one of those situations where she's a lot more religious than me, but she couldn't be more like kind and accepting towards me. But I still feel we're gonna hang out together, just me and her soon and get our youngest sons together. We have a lot in common, so I'm hoping, we can have fun. But I wanted to talk about this birth rate again because there's going to be varying opinions, and I don't think that I like to say this first. Well, I'll probably say this a few times. A lot of people, when they ask the why, or it seems like, in my opinion, when they are saying the why, it's because they are trying to assert blame somewhere. And I don't really want to come from a place of that. I try to tiptoe around trying to blame it like on men. But when I called women the gatekeepers of life, that is to say, once a woman is pregnant, she is the one who decides. And rightfully so. I'm glad it is that way. I'm glad the woman has all the power, but I can also see it from the other side. I do understand what it must feel like to be the one who is powerless in the life that you created. So, once again, I get all of that, but it seems to be a lot of people. And I don't mean just this in my comment section, like across the board. And I listen to videos about it and read about it. There's some people that want to, place the blame solely. Like I 4B is a movement that's in South or started in South Korea right now. And it was so interesting. This woman made a video a year ago. She's like, most women here in South Korea don't even know about 4B. Like they're definitely getting married less, having babies less, but it's not like it's still the radical feminists that are like doing it solely for the purpose of like not being with a man, refusing to in any way. Like 4B entails not only not having children, but having no romantic relationships whatsoever with men. And I was just saying, 4B, a woman from South Korea, it's a big YouTube video. She said most women in South Korea don't even know about 4B. So it's just kind of funny. Like a lot of people might attribute their low birth rate to that. But anyways, I'm going to get into my notes. I have a lot of notes. I was trying to be a lot more structured with this live. Cultural shifts that involve women participating more in the workforce, delaying family creation, and sometimes foregoing it altogether intentionally. And access to birth control helps, as well as the ability helps to delay marriage. All of these things are why women are delaying marriage. And it is happening across the world in most first world countries. I thought it was really interesting. It's even happening in Latin America. Latin America's fertility rate is 1.5. That's how many children each woman has. This is just how they do it, okay? And that's just what they call it, fertility rate. Hi, Moon Mist. How are you doing? Hi, Alternative Human. How are you? I believe it said hi to Drew, right? Hi, Drew, if I didn't. Since 2007, birth rates in the US have been steadily declining. And in other countries, we're at 1.5 right now. They just announced, I'm sorry, 1.6, and it was the lowest ever, even though technically we had 33,000 more live births in the year 2024 than we did in the year 2023. Anyways, Japan's fertility rate is 1.2. South Korea is only 0.72 and China is at 1. Latin America is at 1.5. I didn't realize. So it's interesting to me. People from Latin America come here and they have more babies than the people are here. Maybe it's for because of the economic opportunities, but then again, it's like people where there's more economic opportunities don't. But within 3 generations, immigrants will fall in line with the birth rate of the people who were already there, meaning those immigrants are only going to have more babies past the fertility rate for 3 generations of them. You need a constant influx of immigrants is the point, basically. It's not just about, "Oh, this culture from this other place, they're gonna bring with it them the birth rate," 'cause across the board, the upping of the birth rate, every expert I've seen talk about this says there's no proven way to increase the amount of people being born besides immigration. We can talk about policies all day long. It does sound nice. And there is somebody made a good point. Oh my gosh, it was those people, Simone and Malcolm. They were like, if you incentivize people who are already downtrodden to have children because of incentives, basically, like then that's only gonna cause, like, those people to have more children. It's really not going to help in the really big scheme of things. And it's also interesting to note how not religious people are the ones who aren't procreating. So, in essence, it's not gonna be that long until there's gonna be a lot of mostly religious people at this point, if they follow line with their family, or is that one way that it balances itself out? Of course, I have to have it as a coworker. I can't. All first world countries are seeing a decline, and the question is why? Across the board, people agree decision making seems to be common. Like people are deciding this. Most women are having the same, the fertility rate hasn't dropped sharply across the board. It is some women choosing simply not to have babies a lot, especially very young women. Namely 24 and under. Teenage pregnancies are down, which of course that's a great thing. I don't think anybody wants the teenage pregnancy rate to be up, but it is very interesting. And it's as good as it is in one way, in my opinion, it doesn't seem healthy, if that makes sense. It doesn't seem like it's happening for healthy reasons. Like, I'm glad that it is happening, but then when you see 20 to 24, those people are also having significantly less babies. Every other age range is still following the same trends that they were for a while. Hispanics are very conservative, family-oriented people, GH said. Yes, and that is one reason. And same thing with, people from the Middle East that tend to immigrate into cities like London and places in Europe. They also, it's not too long before they populate the area. And Africa, by the end of our century, will have the most young people. At this rate, with the way that things are going, it's going to be so drastically different than what we know. But most of us will be gone at this point too. By the end of the century, people might be outsourced, like from Africa. They might be going to Africa to seek young people to help these other countries out. And I saw and I tried to refind it so I could tell you the name of it and I couldn't, but there was a video I saw where this woman from South Africa was warning other women from Africa about this company in Russia who was recruiting them. I'm sorry, my nose itches so bad. I was just outside and like um they just advertise for young women, young women only. Isn't that's kind of a red flag? Like for some reason, it's like some kind of manual labor, but you don't want men at all. And it was just like young women, like 22, 24, and under. And it turned out to be them making it was like a munitions factory. They were making weapons, and they were not told that's what they were going to be doing. And I think it went deeper than that too, but it's awful. So that was just an interesting story that happened really recently. I'm not saying that's going to keep happening, but these birth rates, people will be going to Africa at the end of the century to help them repopulate their own countries. And women are being lied to. They're told to wait. They're told that you can do everything you want to and then have kids, quote unquote, when you are ready. And of course, I think most people aren't ready when they're teenagers. It is really interesting to note how different things are and how much times have changed. There was a couple I saw that their 80th wedding anniversary was being celebrated, and this was on some news site. And their ages were so when they got together, she was 17 and he was 23, so there was like mixed reactions to that. This was 80 years ago, and people are like, "Oh, it was a different time back then." Like, and some people were like actually upset about it. And it's like I do understand. Like, I wouldn't want my 17-year-old with a 23-year-old, but like their wedding picture, they were so happy and so exuberant. They were so happy now at like 103 and 97 years old. So, um, but once again, like it's just interesting how things have changed, and maybe that's one reason why like people just like things aren't. like they used to be. People don't get together like they used to, and even though we have the internet and more connection and we have easier transportation, airplanes and everything, like, it's easier to get around, it's easier to meet the love of your life. People are doing it less. That's just interesting to me, and I'm not saying it's right for 17 and 23-year-olds to get together, but I think you guys know what I'm saying, like, times have changed so much and the parameters for, like, what is acceptable, the boxes people try to put themselves in, like, it is liberating. It is a good thing that we have more choices. And I'm gonna get to, uh, I think what will be a more interesting discussion soon. Fertility treatments are very expensive. I personally have seen people spend their life savings on IVF. They wait to have the child and then they spend the life savings that they save for that child, like on just having that child. And I am not making fun of that, but that is something that young women should know happens. And it's not fair that like we aren't clear with them about that. I got pregnant, not, it was a unplanned blessing when I was 19 years old, and uh, you're so fertile when you're young, and it is a blessing in a way when you want to get pregnant. When I was 22, I tried to get pregnant. I had to go to a fertility doctor because it wasn't happening. It was almost a year, and he actually gave me amitriptyline, very low dose, like 10 milligrams of some antihistamine, and said, "Take this before bed." Like it's like he could tell I was an anxious person. It's like basically to calm your nerves down. I think you just need to calm down. Basically, is what he. And I did have a bladder condition. He diagnosed that she said that it's kind of the same kind of thing. It will calm my nerves down and help my bladder. And so he was right. I did get pregnant shortly after and like stopped that medicine like as soon as. So and I was 22 years old, and I thought that was kind of crazy, but I also was just like, I just got pregnant on accident a few years ago. And then when I tried to get pregnant this third time, I was coming up on 30. I had done all the work, knew all about the standard American diet and all the bad things, and I like ate super, super clean. I was taking a lot of good supplements. I know how some people feel about supplements, but I really was deficient in vitamin D even after living in South Florida. And, like, being out in the sun a lot and, like, purposely laying out in the sun because I already knew I was deficient in vitamin D. Oh my gosh, this flight. And I, got pregnant the first month we tried, the first cycle we tried with that last kid. So it's just interesting to me. I had a difficult time. It took me a year, 13 months to get pregnant with the second child. And then with the third one, a whole 8 years, 7 years later, pregnant on the first cycle, the first try. So let's see. This is something that really struck me. There's going to be a decline of cousins, and the cousin relationship is very special. If you don't have any cousins or any cousins that you're close to, I'm sorry about that. But like when I think about my childhood, cousins are a very special relationship to have. Oh my gosh, I need to say hi to people in the chat. I didn't see it move at all. And then I see, hi, Fishing Queen, if you're still here, how are you? Moonma said rare for marriages to endure so long. Yes, so long, not too long. Hey, Yoder, how are you doing today? How are you feeling right now? Fishing Queen, back in the same boat. Today's my birthday. I've been stuck in bed in discomfort. Have gotten the best gift ever. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Fishing Queen. I don't know if you've gotten the progesterone or not, but I'm gonna keep recommending it. I don't wanna be a bother like that, but it's a topical lotion and it's like safe. It's not like in my no medical advice in my opinion, it's not well, I've had doctors tell me this. It's not like testosterone or estrogen where like if you put that on your skin, then you don't want somebody else to touch it. You wouldn't want like your man rubbing up against you or a child, but like with progesterone, it's like it's super safe. It's like the safest hormone you could like supplement, in my opinion. Once again, not medical advice. Samo, how are you doing? What's the optimal women window for women to get pregnant? So I listened to like this Harvard University lecture that was just 11 days old. Well, it wasn't a lecture, it was like four people on a panel talking together about the birth rate. I listened to a bunch of things, and it was interesting to me how many women they specifically said teenage through 30 years old. I think really like what they never really said, like what age. Now, I've heard that I know one person, his mother had him when she was 14 years old, and she said all her back teeth fell out. So like I refuse to think like you'd have to be full grown. I'd say like at least 16, and I almost feel horrible saying that because I don't want any 16-year-old out there getting pregnant. It's just like in the big scheme, and I've seen things say like most people historically had babies around 19 years old. I don't know how true that is, how they know that, but that does seem to make sense to me. Like an older teenager, when the woman is definitely because you're fully grown. 18, yeah, 18. 18's better than 16. I think you can still do growing between 16 and 18. You could have trouble. I know I've heard this. You're more likely to have a C-section if you're a younger teenager because you're not developed is all the way. And yeah, what your body doesn't have, it will just take, what you don't have to give your baby, it will take from your body. So, dental issues really are a thing. It's interesting to me. Years and years ago, dentists were like, "Oh, we don't really know." And now when I go to a dentist, it's like undeniable. And like, one dentist visit after my third, he said, "Are you done having babies?" And I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "That's good. I think you should be." And that was like in regard to my dental, my teeth. You don't want me to tell you how I feel on here. Yoder said, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Nana." No, I forgot. I will put my soon-to-be husband on that. He'll just be thrilled. Fishing Queen said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Fishing Queen." Samo, age or time of the month? Yoder asked. Oh, that's a good. Yeah, if you're asking about, excuse me, like when somebody ovulates, it's one technically. Aaron, how are you doing? Yay. Who will win if the match is between alien versus AI robots, and which side will you support? Well, I look at aliens is like something from another dimension. I don't really look at aliens the way a lot of other people probably do. So I'd probably say the aliens because I think they have like a more on their side. You know what I mean? They have more knowledge, like they're more spiritual beings. Samo said H. The hips is what matters really for the women, Yoder said. Right. A lot of women feel like they're too tiny, and then like a doctor explained it to me, the opening of your hips can be a lot bigger than you think it is compared to like how big you look from the outside too. You just don't really know. And some women that are tall and you not small, they have a very small opening in their hips and can't birth a baby. Right, Anna? Have you heard that too? That's what I was told when I was 19 and, I was kinda tiny. "Hi, Grace, how are you doing?" "Hi, GH, not saying that's what we believe or what we want these days." Right, so they, it makes sense to me, you're so fertile, and that's why it's so important to be careful, and that's why I am glad the teenage pregnancy rate is down because especially in this economy, like, how can anybody ever get ahead in life if they start having children as a teenager nowadays? But in my opinion, a lot of it is environmental, but it also has to be social. Like, it is undeniable that people aren't getting married as much. The marriage rate is trending downwards, and it's been trending downwards the longest it's ever trended downwards in the history of recording it for like over 100 years now. They recorded it, and it always goes up, down, and like the same. You can see like as trend. Oh my gosh, I want to say is it 3 to 5 years, whatever, but it's like the same trend over and over. And now since 1999, it's just steadily going down. And in my opinion, that has a lot to do with the internet. It has a lot to do with social media. It has a lot to do with adult media and, it's both sides. It's one comment I got, somebody said, "Men are the gatekeepers too. It's men deciding not to have children too." And I do understand where they're coming from. And I actually thought that that was cool. And like, yeah, I want men to feel like that, especially like young men, to empower them to feel like they should be really careful where they choose to it sounds so cheesy. Leave their seed at who they choose to trust it with, and it should be something that you look at like that. And if more men did look at it like that and honor what reproductive measures, the life that it brings and all the things that women go through to bring life to earth, I think that a lot of things would be a lot different. But like the fact of the matter is, so I want to say that like men should be empowered to think that. But the fact of the matter is, like, I think a lot of them don't, especially the single ones. There's no female loneliness epidemic. And that is why I tend to lean towards it's a lot of women choosing to forego. And it's like and I've seen it like firsthand, it's a lot of women choosing not to have babies, not necessarily not having relationships. There's a lot of married couples out there, married for a long time. They just neither of them want kids. It has a lot to do with the patriarchy, with our current system, with late stage capitalism. Hardly anybody can keep afloat. And if you can't wrap around your head why a woman would choose not to be pregnant, why she doesn't have enough stability in her life to make those choices and to go through everything pregnancy entails, then I think you haven't really experienced a life with a pregnant woman or something. It's just like these some of these attitudes, especially, the men that literally, like that pastor said, women are people that people come out of, like, that's literally how they look at it, and they don't honor at all, like, actually what women go through. Fishing queen, it's weird, my period feels so much worse than my last one, it feels like they're getting heavier and more intense. Yeah, you definitely need to get that seriously. It's like, I'm sorry. Is your diet getting worse, or have you been eating a lot of sugar? Sam, I heard Puerto Rican ladies are the most fertile for some reason. That's interesting. I wouldn't doubt if it has to do with, I mean, diet is everything in my opinion, and your cells are constantly regenerating. It's like if you have a poor diet for years and years, like the human body is so resilient. It takes a long time in my opinion, in most cases, for things to really affect you. Like you're not going to really possibly attribute it to it because it's like the way your standard, it's the way your normal is. You've always ate like crap. But like I would venture to say, a little island, it could go either way, right? And Weston A. Price was a dentist in the late 1800s. He traveled to villages along railroads and he wrote about it. And it was his theory. It was kind of evident. It was just as soon as a railroad came to town and brought with it things like flour, sugar, just a bunch of processed foods that weren't widely available in the area beforehand. People's teeth and dental health got worse. And it's not just cavities, it's like overcrowding. It's very interesting. In one generation, these people that had beautiful straight white teeth, like natives, like teeth, they're like, ruined. And so it's like when you see what it does to, and teeth are very strong. They're like stronger than bones, right? Like teeth are crazy the more you learn about them. They're so unique in the way that our anatomy with our teeth are. You should do everything you can to hang on to all your teeth. I had one removed that probably didn't need to be removed, and it's one of my biggest regrets. And I don't dwell on it because what can you do? But like the dentist I went to before and then after it because I couldn't see him because I couldn't get an emergency appointment into him. It was like he was about to cry. He was like, "Oh my gosh, they pulled that. Why did they pull that tooth? And I don't think that needed." And da da da. And like, anyways, do everything you can to hang on to your teeth, not to make anybody feel bad about missing teeth. I'm missing two. A lot of younger guys don't okay, I'm not that far back. Okay, Bill said a lot of younger guys don't want the turmoil that some of the women bring. Some just see babies as a meal ticket. Well, right, but babies, the women that do think that are in for a rude awakening because it is the hardest job anybody would ever have in their life. And I know there are people out there like that, Bill. I'm not trying to deny that, but most women, most mothers aren't having babies simply for a meal ticket. I know, once again, disclaimer, I know there are some that like have baby after baby to live off of welfare, but most women don't do that. And it is the women taking on the responsibility most of the time when the child is created. And it like I understand men don't want to deal, but do you see my point? There's a male loneliness epidemic. It's not a female loneliness epidemic. Single females are buying more houses than single males. Single females are getting more higher education, college degrees than their single male counterparts. They're in the workforce more than their single male counterparts. There's like over a million men, like even more. It was like 4 million men not in the workforce, like, not disabled, like they're just like not working right now, able-bodied, probably, what, 18 to 56-year-old men, like, that's who is crying out saying that they need help, and I'm not making fun of that, like, I sincerely is like, so what is going on and what is the difference between those 2 things? And when you say, like, somebody who is tending to choose to walk away from all of it altogether, marriage and babies, I would lean towards women because once again, it's like more single women are doing everything, buying the house, getting careers, and the men, they're like almost being left behind. And I don't say that with pleasure. I have 3 sons. Women aren't women much, nor are men men anymore. I think it's the end of times. It's like we're all products of our environment. There's so much turmoil going on. People are just trying to survive and they're not evolving like they should be because instead of really spending that time, spiritually in your community, evolving the way that you should mentally, you're like just trying to survive and work. And that is a big problem with men and women, right? And people don't spend enough time parenting their kids, and then you send these kids out to the world that are like, "Oh my gosh," and then, you hear these horror stories, like, I told my younger coworker that she was talking to me how she goes back and forth, and I sent her a video, and, she was like, "Yeah, I just wanna be so mindful," and, like, every single person I'm intimate with, like that's somebody I could have a child with. And I really want to start looking at it like that. Like I'm not even going to be intimate with somebody unless I wouldn't want to have a child with them. And like I just think that's a really smart way to look at it. And is it going to be realistic every single time for every single person? No, I get that. But ideally, you send your kid out into the world, not just thinking it's a safe thing to do with anybody they look at and think is nice looking. You know what I mean? And there's, I bring up adult media and social media, like, I think it's, like, the same thing is going on, like, adult media is rewiring men's brains, and social media is rewiring females' brains. Oops, I didn't okay. Well, a lot say they don't want kids, and then things happen, Fishing Queen said. Yes, we need to be so careful with our fertility. Samo, yeah, things changed a lot, Samo said. Fishing Queen, my man found it, he got it, and it will be here tomorrow. Yay! Tell him I said thank you. And, when I first started using it, it's like, usually you use it unless you're off your period, but since you're on it, you just start using it right away, and, things will slow down, you'll see, and then you stop using it. Ideally, you just use it 3 weeks, a month, and then you don't use it on your period. But with you, I would use it till it stops, and then I'd, like, wait a few days. Do you agree with me, Anna? And then maybe use, like, a pump a day, you rotate, you, like, put 1 pump on your stomach, and then the next day, like, your if you got fat on your arms, like most of us do, you put it in fatty areas, but you wanna rotate. I'm so glad to hear that, Fishing Queen. Oh my gosh. Yoder said, Sama, my guess would be diet as well, and also actual work, dancing and stuff, working out. Yes, getting the cardio rate up. That's something I don't do enough. I think I'm like in shape because I'm not overweight and I'm on my feet a lot at work, but I'm actually not in shape at all. Fishing Queen, no, I went to the doctor the other day because I have a UTI. Oh, a UTI. Oh, okay. So I see. Oh, those are really painful. Hitesh said, I'm an orthodontist. Oh, that's so neat, Hitesh. That's so neat. I've never been to an ortho before. Fishing Queen. I don't know if it has something to do with it. Yeah, it definitely could. I got, I put black salve on this. Look, it's black salve I got from, well, I guess it doesn't really say. It's from Sunny Valley store, but digging around in the dirt, like I have no idea what it was. It wasn't anything I could see. It didn't look like I had anything poke me or, but like my finger was swollen. Um, God nonstop said, "Love you, Ma. God bless you and your family. Enjoy your weekend." Oh, thank you, God nonstop. You too. Love you too. Hitesh treating malocclusion. Are you talking about me? Villain, killing, Dylan. Antinatalism and pro-choice for the win. Yeah, I understand people who are antinatalist in this world, Of course, it makes me kind of sad when people talk about like they literally dislike children because like you do need children for your own future, even if you don't want to have them of your own. You know what I mean? But I wish our communities were more child friendly. I wish that it was more like a village, and, I don't mean that towards anti-natalistic folk altogether, like, I know some of them don't think that way. Hitesh Ajara, indeed, with my British side, my teeth are horrible with that, Yoder said. Ronald said, "Men these days are sissies." That's Ronald's opinion. Samo, but aren't men supposed to be the providers? Well, Samo, with the way things are so expensive here, excuse me, I think in my opinion, I think in a lot of situations that is ideal, but with the whatever is going on mentally with men that is causing them to seemingly fall behind in certain aspects with women, I don't say that with pleasure, but it's undeniable, right? Like I'm not saying this like, haha, we're winning, you're not. I was a stay-at-home mom for most of my life. I wouldn't be a homeowner if it wasn't for my husband, okay? So, like, I'm not saying it like I'm one of those women. I don't have a college degree, but it's undeniable when you hear those statistics, and it's not women getting houses and they're divorced. There's always somebody that wants to say that. That's not it. It's single people buying real estate on their own. There's more women doing it than men. And, it wasn't that long ago. It was not like that at all because, I mean, it wasn't that long ago women weren't allowed to make transactions like that without a man, without their daddy or a husband. And we couldn't have credit cards without a daddy or a husband co-signing till 1979. Like, that's really crazy when you really sit down and think about it. So, really think about how women have not only met, I don't want to say exceeded, but they can do everything a man can, right? Almost anything. And We'll never have the brute force you will have, just like you'll never be able to give birth like we do. And that's why like we complement each other. But I think in a lot of situations, ideally, yes. And it's been proven like women that make a lot of money, they're hard pressed to find a partner, way more so than a man that makes a lot of money. And it's the preferences going both ways, you know? It's not all men's fault that these women that make six figures can't seem to find a man. You know what I mean? It's the women's fault just as much because they have higher standards. The men that make six figures, they don't have to be with somebody that makes as much or more than them. So their standards, are different in that regards. They're going to have an easier time, right? And um, yeah, I think it's natural. Like even though we were hunters and gatherers together for most of human existence, depending on what exactly you believe. I don't know exactly what to believe as far as like this many years we were this and this many years we were that. But for most of human existence, there was several species of humans, and we were just like surviving off the land. And you believe what some people's timelines say. Very recently, just very recently in time, did we start living like we do now? And in my opinion, I think that is a big source of the problems. And that's a lot of people like romanticize and even like idealize, and me too. I want to go back to living off grid. They like that lifestyle. I think it brings up something within us that it like takes us back to what we should be. We should be like it should be day by day, like people in recovery, people trying not to drink or do a substance, like a lot of people will say, like, I was watching Hillbilly Crime last night as she was doing a live, and she was saying that, like, you don't make a goal to like not do this for 7 years. You're like, I'm gonna every you take it day by day, right? And it's like I think we're more designed to do that. That makes sense. And the times we live in now, like it's so easy for somebody to get depressed and not find their happiness easily. And yeah, most women seek career first more and more for the past nearly 20 years. Yes, Moon Mist. That is true. Hi, Andrew, if you're still here. It seems like you got to be rich to even have a family. Fendi said, yes, it's unfortunate. Bill said, I'm 55, never had a tooth pulled, cavities filled. I think my teeth are titanium. That's really good. Some people never, like, I don't think my husband's ever had a cavity, ever had a filling. Some people literally can't, like, they don't get cavities. I don't know if you know that, but it's true. Like, not you have to be, but you are likely one of those people if you're. Last time I went to the dentist was 13. Yoder said, oh, good for you. Fishing Queen said, "I don't know, what do you think about the UTI?" Like, it could definitely oh my gosh, the way my nerves are, like I said, I have a bladder condition. Like, if my stuff goes haywire, it like, the pain radiates and shoots around, so, your nerves are all connected. You got these big nerves coming out. If you haven't seen how big your nerves are that come out of your spine, they are big, and then, all your anatomy is going haywire right by there. I bet you're just, like, going haywire down there, right? The family unit has fundamentally changed. Divorce has also kept younger folks steer away from marriage, Moon Mist said. Yes, a lot of people have learned from their elders' mistakes, right? GH, that's an insane statement. People had kids when we lived in caves. We have more now than ever in history. Yes. The whole point of this conversation is that there's a steep decline that like governments are concerned about. And I say let it decline. And I'm going to be one of the first, if not the first, possibly like old people, God willing, I get to be old age, that sees the effect of not having the replacement population coming before, after us and helping to take care of us in our elderly years. Like, of course, it's easy for me to sit here and say it as a 38-year-old, but I really do feel that in my heart. Like, I'll just like go die out in the woods when I'm meant to go, if that means the world healing and there being less people like destroying the planet. Do you think it's because there's something to do with it? Because I have no clue, Fishing Queen. I think I answered that. Pog, I want to tell you something. Well, Pog, if it's, I don't know what kind of nasty you mean. The word nasty makes me think, yeah, maybe you shouldn't say it. Did I have something in my teeth? I was just eating right before because I got home at like 10:07 and I was like, oh my gosh, I said to be on here at 10 and I was like trying so hard to rush. Samo said, Pog, don't. Michael, hello, Michael, how are you? Oh my gosh, Yoder. Hi, HK, how are you? Don't unless you're gonna be nice about it, Yoder said to Pog. Fishing Queen, my cramps are like 100 times worse and it sucks so bad. Yeah, it could definitely be related, in my opinion. I can have my bladder flare-ups and then, it would, when I had a uterus, affect it. Meister dentist in the house. Yoder said, "Hey Zeus, hey, how are you? We need to give tax breaks to people having children so they can uphold a household." I think one interesting suggestion would be like for families to not have to pay an income tax, especially if they had three or more, something like that was something that got brought up. So that would incentivize people to not like live off the system, right? But like a lot of people aren't living purely off the system having babies. That's what I'm saying. Like I know it is out there, okay? I've literally organically met one family who was okay, no, the guy worked. I'm sorry, the guy worked, but he purposely worked like a $15 an hour job so they could get the maximum amount of benefits. And they were the ones that believed in like being fruitful and multiplying. And in my opinion, they were neglectful of their children. And I'll never forget one time we had to stop going to an activity. We had to stop the Boy Scouts because it was like me babysitting her children. And one time, one of my boys had to use the restroom, and they're old enough, they went on there, and then like a few of her boys follow, and then they come out, and one of them had the urinal cake in his hand, and they were like talking about how he had it in his mouth and stuff. Like it's just like they do nothing to okay, anyways. So I homeschooled for years around dozens and dozens, hundreds of families. I've met literally one family, and that's because they like bragged about it. Maybe there's some other families, but they really like I don't know if they had, I think they had Section 8. They had about as much help as a family could have, like having kids, at least I'm pretty sure they had Section 8. I'm pretty sure the trailer park they lived in was like all Section 8, which there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm saying it's not a common thing for people to have baby after baby after baby on government assistance. You have to be so exceedingly dirt poor. And I think a lot of people that think like that, or like think that that's a thing, like they don't realize you have to be so poor, you guys. You have to have like, oh, your car can only be worth like $3,000 or less. You have to be so poor to get like straight up Section 8 and food, a lot of food stamps and stuff. Okay, disability is different, but I think people I'm always gonna believe if somebody's on disability, they deserve it. Um, so yeah, I thought that was interesting. It was like some rich people, of course, talking about how like this would be good because it would not incentivize people to live off the system. But yeah, I will stop complaining. My man, just go. Apparently, I tell him too much. Fishing Queen said, "Oh, Fishing Queen, it's okay." Cap, hey, how are you, Cap? Too many men work in office jobs, and I fail to see how a woman is more attracted to that kind of man than a welder or trade working man. I'm not, but I do get where you're coming from. I hope you're still in here, Cap. I totally get where you're coming from, and they say the birth control pill makes women they're attracted to men that they wouldn't be otherwise if they weren't on the birth control pill. Like, that's interesting to me. They're actually attracted to more feminine men when they're on the birth control pill. So, I think that's interesting. And at this point, like it's in our water. I hate to say that and be a Debbie Downer, but it's true. Like they can't filter out pharmaceuticals from our water supply. So it's important to try to do it yourself if you can. At least you're drinking water, at least. Bill, you are lucky to have your whole mouth of teeth at 55. Way to go. Moon Mist Gal said, yes, completely agree. Moon Mist Gal, for real. I'm happy for him. Karen's English Music said, hi, hi, how are you? Yoda, if a man can't split firewood, I see no attraction in him at all. Right. Fishing Queen Yoder, LOL, he ain't going get far in life. GH, a woman who makes six figures, one, doesn't want a man who makes less. Two, men who make six figures want a stay-at-home mom. So lose lose for them. That's a good way to put it. Right. Usually the man who makes six figures, he doesn't have the standards of having to have somebody that makes as much or more, but at the same time, he probably won't want a career woman, or it tends to not always, right? There's always going to be exceptions, but I do agree with you. Fendi, honestly, I just checked out and stopped looking for someone, and I'm just going to leave the country and probably not date till I'm gone out of here. I don't know where you're moving, but good luck. That's very exciting. And if I was a single person and had the ability to, I would totally consider leaving the country. Uh, Raising Wildflowers is one of my favorite YouTube channels. Who's like, they moved from West Virginia to, they've been all over the place. They did a really cool video on Algeria recently. I'm sorry, not Algeria, Albania. I'm sorry to confuse those. In like, oh, it was just so neat. Like there's no like Walmarts, like there's still a bakery and a butcher shop and a dairy place you go to get, raw milk that's fresh from farms. It looks so amazing. Everything's cheaper. CMO, oversimplified, but yeah. That cap said amen to Yoder. Jesus, not to be chauvinistic, oh no. But needing a man for a credit card or house or any asset created the system of resources in exchange for sex and legacy. Well, I would rather live in a system where I don't need a man personally because it also lent to a lot of abuse. And there was a lot of women in situations that they would pull their granddaughters, daughters aside, and encourage them not to be like that. Like it might be a win-win from the outside looking in, but I think that the relationships formed now are much more genuine. Um, but once again, I understand there's a lot of bad people. There's a lot of bad women and men. Blame social media and adult media for that. Seriously, 1999, the marriage rate started steadily declining. I totally blame that for the pitfalls. Fishing queen, this time it feels like pins and needles being squeezed and squeezed. Um, yeah, if it's pins and needles, your circulation is messed up. You need to like change physicians, and Yoder said, "Fishing queen, if a UTI that yeah, UTI can go to your kidneys." You said you went to the doctor. Did you get put on meds, or did you get a shot? GH, I'm with you there, he said to Fendi, or you said to Fendi, "Online dating is the worst. I don't go out, so it's impossible to meet people." Right? Like, if you don't go out, how do you meet people besides work? And then, like, work is kind of inappropriate to start romantic relationships. Now, I have seen the number one causes of affairs are what, like Facebook and work in the gym, the top places people meet affair partners. So in my mind, I'm just like, well, why can't people just meet people there? I'm sure they do. You know what I mean? Singles meet other singles. Um, but yeah, Facebook, that's kind of weird to have like some random person write you on Facebook, even though I met my husband on MySpace. But we were like horny young people. Sorry to be TMI. Fishing queen, meow kitty. I love kitties. Okay. Is there a cat in here? Moon miss, that's awful when parents neglect their kids. Rough. Yes, it is. Hi, Gulf Island, if you're still in here, how are you doing tonight? Um, Jesus. I actually don't get mad at people with government assistance because it's part of the system. They design it so people working focus on people in public assistance when the focus should be on the system. I completely agree with you, Jesus. And I have said that before. Not saying, like, I said it first, but I completely agree with that. They want us to like think about all the people on welfare when it's really the billionaires. Elon Musk is the biggest welfare queen. When you see the government contracts his companies have gotten, it's insane. The hundreds of millions of billions of dollars given to Elon Musk. And like, how many years would it take to say all that? How many welfare dollars would, oh my gosh, I can't even put it into words. It makes me so mad. Babcap, I got a zero water filter to get the birth control out. Hopefully, LOL. That's good. Michael, Google population crash 2040. I will do that when we're off of here. That is interesting. So I was listening to all sorts of stuff the past few days, YouTube videos, namely. Carlos, thank you. Said Jesus loves you. Michael, you chose to date a crackhead. Take responsibility. Who are you saying that to, Michael? You did get meds, Fishing Queen. I'm so sorry, Fishing Queen. I'm sure you know all the tricks. So you haven't taken ibuprofen. Maybe you should take ibuprofen for the inflammation. Meet them at a car down by the stream, Yoder said. Okay. Look at what boobies. Babcap, I hope I meet a girl in the gym because I'm into working out and she has to understand my love for it. Yes, I hope you meet somebody very compatible and that would make sense to me at a place you share similar interests in being at or doing. You know what I'm trying to say? Not gonna lie to you, I don't give a F anymore about making friends or meeting someone anymore. I'm good, Fendi said. Well, when you can enjoy your own company, that is the best way to be. One of my favorite quotes is Jimi Hendrix said, "Hi, Huggy Bear, how are you? I was born alone and I'm going to die alone." And it's like, I think a lot of people are so insecure. They're not good in sitting with themselves. And I think that that's good. Like, like one reason it made me so sad to leave that job was because, like, yeah, I have people's numbers, but I just know, like, I'm not going to probably socialize with maybe one or two of the people I might socialize with, but like it's just not going to be the same when you're not like forced to be with some people. You're just not. And I'm had fun being forced to be social. Yoder, I was in judo my whole child life up to till senior years. Went to Olympic tryouts in New York. Oh, Yoder, that's so neat. I didn't know that about you. GH, I do go to an MMA gym, but it's 95% men, and I doubt the women wish to be courted by me there. Yes, yeah, I was gonna say that, but I didn't want to be like a VAP I'm sure knows, like don't be a creep. I don't want to say something like that, but like, of course, I know there's women out there that are gonna like not want to be approached at the gym. Usually the ones wearing the crazy outfits that like separates their butt cheeks and lifts them up like a crazy like cleavage inducing sports bras is like look up here, my face is up here, that kind of stuff. Like I do believe women should be able to wear spandex and like, be able to dress how they want in the gym, but then like I didn't realize how serious some of these workout clothes get, man. And then I understood why some men were complaining. Juan, don't ever approach a woman in the gym. You'll end up as a creep on the internet. I'm sure there's been some people that I would say, like, try to see if there's a mutual attraction, as somebody they see over and over. Obviously, I think VapCap knows because they've been to the gym a lot and they're not, you know, coming here with stories of hitting on women. Juan sounds like he knows from experience, HK said. No, I'm sure Juan's talking about videos on the internet. There's so many videos. I'm sure there's an athletic reason cheeks need to be separated. I could see it being more comfortable. And like I've said this to my husband before, like the spandex is like really supportive. And you might be like, why do ladies like the tight stuff so much? Because it actually feels good. It's like it's supportive. Like when you have more fat and muscle, and you're like your glutes and your thighs and like to have it all like just like supported and feels good. If you ever wore compression socks. Okay. One trainer was Hillary Wolf, also AKA the sister in Home Alone. Yoder, really? Zap cap. It's a multicolor yoga pants that change colors on the cheeks that get me. What the fuck? Yeah, it's like it's trying to be distracting, That actually sounds kind of cute, but like I personally couldn't wear something like that because, it just Hi Scott, how are you doing? So the age differences it was something that I didn't really like. The difference in the age groups, it's like the birth rate isn't falling as much for women above 24, which is really interesting. But like that's because I believe us, like I'm talking as a 38-year-old woman, we've had our babies and it just shows like the sharp decline. Like I had two babies by the time I was 22. It's very interesting to me that there's a lot of women 24 and under that aren't having babies. They haven't had their first baby yet. That means they're less likely to have more babies. They're losing years of their fertility. I should have put a disclaimer like, but with a live, like people come and go. So it's kind of hard. Like people that are struggling with fertility probably shouldn't watch this because like I don't feel like I'm sensitive enough to that when I just talk about this and then I always have a pang like oh no like I know there's women that like there's always those women that like want to have children and are struggling to conceive. I don't believe that that is like why um the birth rate has plummeted since 2007. So GH, they built these fusion gyms here in Pennsylvania. They are influencer gyms. The worst people go there. You're never not walking past someone recording shit on their phone. That sounds horrible, GH. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so interesting to me. We've got like, Planet Fitness type gyms and then like some mom and pop gyms, of course. Um, but that's wild. Scott, you are the epitome of what a beautiful Kentucky woman looks like. Oh, Scott, thank you so much. That's so nice. I'm glad you're doing great. Fishing Queen, oh, it's horrible. I don't know. It's so heavy. It hurts so bad and the cramps are horrible. Yeah, you need to take some ibuprofen. If you take an ibuprofen, maybe take Tylenol. And I'm not a huge fan of Tylenol, but like, I'll reach for anything if the pain is that bad. That cap, I don't have a lot of experience because I am newly single, but so far I talked to two girls and neither were interested. I do not want to be a creep because I have to go back there and they see, right, right. God, she's married, Yoder said. Yes, thank you, Yoder. Fishing Queen, it's so heavy, it hurts so bad. I keep bleeding through everything. The cramps are horrible. Well, Fishing Queen, gosh, I wish you had that progesterone cream now. I'm glad you're getting it tomorrow. It sounds like tonight's gonna suck. I saw the shorts where there was a woman, like, see, this is why the birth rate is plummeting too, in my opinion. The cultural shift, part of it, it's not just a rift between men and women. It isn't. A lot of it has to do with these conversations taking place on a wide scale. And I'm not a huge fan of TikTok. I don't use it that much. I did try it out, but it's interesting to me the conversations that it starts, that it can spur, and like the multitudes of opinions you will get, and it is been very eye-opening, and no other social media is like it. And I think people are sharing ideas and experiences in a way that they never did before, and more women with medical issues. You have issues like I saw this woman where a woman was sitting on the toilet, and she's like, point of view, your cramps are so bad you've been sitting on the toilet for an hour because that does offer some relief. That position, like squatting a little bit, that's what I was gonna recommend to you, fishing queen. Like, you might wanna go sit on the toilet, I don't know. I don't really have a favorite movie night, Rock, because I don't watch movies hardly ever. Like, it's seriously, I haven't hardly watched any movies in the last 20 years, so it would have to be something from when I was much younger, you know? I used to love, okay, no, I'm gonna stop. That's definitely not my favorite movie anymore. Half Baked, no HK. Okay. Yeah. And it's just like, it's hell what women go through. And I think the more we share it, and like some people might be like, oh, it's an echo chamber, you're playing the victim. But in my opinion, it's not that, because I know from personal experience with my hysterectomy, with my precancerous condition, like having the support of other women online and people that that know what you're going through and can share in the experience with you. There's more women taking part in, like, actually teaching younger women what motherhood is really like. Not let's see, what a lot of women have done to other women, okay, we do it to each other, and, like, I think I am so glad I was a mom, but a lot of women just put it on other women, like, it's just what you do, and it's easy, or, like, it'll get better. Some women simply don't wanna be moms, they never did. I think a lot of people weren't fit to be parents, and that's why there's a lot of damaged people, and I shouldn't say fit to be parents, like, it's just you're just not cut out for it. It's not for everybody. And we were taught for so long, like this is just what everybody does. Like you do this or you are weird. And now for the first time ever, it's like becoming more and more socially acceptable. So it's no surprise to see, like, as soon as it starts to become a little more socially acceptable, people are actually taking heart and like completely, but I think a lot of it has to do with medical issues too. It's like women with endometriosis, the scarring that that can cause, like STDs are on the rise. Every major city, oh my gosh, the STDs are so bad. And those can cause, you might think, oh, I can just get some antibiotics and clear it, but those can cause long-term damage and infertility down the road. Fishing Queen said it helps and doesn't make you feel alone. Exactly. And like, so I was telling my son earlier today, like, the doctor tells you, like, in 6 weeks, you're back to normal, or like 6 weeks, you'll be normal. Like, and I just cut these organs out of you. You've had your whole 38-year-old life, but in 6 weeks, you can be back to normal with all activities, and everything. Oh, no. It actually takes more like 6 months after any major surgery. And that was something I learned from the hysterectomy. It's like other women, and like some doctors said that to some of these women. It's not medical advice. I'm not, but it was nice when I got like the waves of extreme fatigue and I was just like, what is coming over me? And I think like this is what women said in that group. They're like, you're gonna think you're absolutely healed, and then you'll have a week where you're in bed every chance you get again. And like you need to let yourself rest because your body is still healing from all of that. And that was sincerely a gift. If there was medical marijuana in Kentucky, would you consider going to a doctor and asking? We have medical in Mississippi. There is medical VAP cap, and yeah, I would. I definitely would, actually. Mhm. I might soon. Scott, I realize she's married, only paying a compliment. Yes, it was respectable enough. Scott, that's fine, was just a polite warning. Yoder's my girl. Don't make me judo chop ya, she said to HK. Fishing Queen, I don't know what to do because I can't get comfortable. I don't know how to lay to make it better. Um, yeah, girl, I've been there. No, I believe you. I'm so sorry. I the only thing that makes me feel okay about reading your comment is knowing you've got progesterone cream on the way. I mean it. And you're gonna feel better. Give it 24 hours. I mean, I wouldn't like assume it's gonna work like literally immediately. It should give you some relief tomorrow, but Jojo, no, I'm 38. My oldest son is 18. Hey Jay Hardy, how are you doing tonight? Jojo the monkey, how are you? I hope so because yeah, I know Fishing Queen. I promise. And I don't you have a heating pad, that always helps. Jay Hardy, I already got through most of my notes, and we were talking about yeah, so the social repercussions. I think like a lot of it is women choosing to not have babies because there's a lot of women, and I don't know, this might be environmentally partly, and, like, once again, I'm not knocking it, like I said, I think some men are made more effeminate because of environmental things, but that doesn't mean that those people are bad. That doesn't mean that they're not worthy of everything good. That doesn't mean, we shouldn't treat them the same. So it's just an observation. And I think it's the same with women. What has caused women to be, like Anna said, like women are less women lately. Women aren't womaning as much as, and you take us, you throw us into this world where like we're all fighting to survive at this point. The cost of living is so high in most industrialized countries, especially. It does make sense that people are having less children. Like it just makes sense. In the countries they're used to living off the land, basically, like they never stop. I saw this shorts where Dolly Parton was talking about how her mom got married at 14, started having babies at 15, had 12 babies, had her 12th baby at 35. And she said, it was the developed, I brought this up earlier, like women used to get married younger, like not that long ago in history. It was a lot more normal, especially in certain regions like Tennessee, Appalachia, right? Like, and she said that it's just country folk. That's like how the way of life was, you had a lot of babies. But look at her, she never had one, right? So, um, I hope so, but okay, I already read that. I hope so too, Fishing Queen. Oh, Samo, thank you. 14-hour work on a Saturday, that's crazy. I hope you have more than Sunday off, but probably not, huh? Fishing Queen will probably be up all night rolling around trying to get comfortable. I can't get comfortable because I bleed through when I lay down and get comfortable. Oh my gosh, Fishing Queen. I feel survivor's guilt right now. You're reminding me of why I should be glad I don't have a uterus. And I almost feel bad saying that to you. I'm so sorry. Try to think of it like, and when I was learning my hypnosis for birth, one of my favorite affirmations was all my ancestors stand before me. Like you have women in your lineage that have been through this, that have been through so many births, that have been through so much pain. And like for some reason that comforted me. The women after you will go through this and like that bleeding part really gets to me because I know what that's like to have to put a towel down on the bed. And I'm sorry guys if this grosses anybody out. Like this is a reality of life for so many women. And this is a reason why, one of the reasons in my opinion the birth rate is plummeting. Like it does seem like more people have PCOS. I don't know the statistics on that, but somebody said that in one of my lives. I have PCOS, and didn't Elvis marry a 14-year-old girl? The girl from Naked Gun. I don't know, was Priscilla Presley on Naked Gun? You're talking about Priscilla Presley, right? She was very young. Yes, she was like, and she claims like they weren't intimate for a while. Like it was like the Madonna whore complex with him. He couldn't be intimate with the woman he looked at as like he could only cheat on her with co-stars. And but of course, they had a child together, but like I don't know, she was maybe trying to save face saying I don't know, she might have been 15 or 16. She was very young. I'm doing well, Joseph. How are you doing today, if you're still here? Samuel, effeminate men have a hard life here in North Africa. Oh, I bet the culture there. Oh, thank you, Joseph. My hair doesn't always look this good. I straightened it. Excuse me. Jay Hardy got to finish the new chicken coop with the boys tomorrow. That sounds like fun. So, a day of work at home, right? You don't have to go out, but you still have work to do. I'm glad you're good, Joseph. Fishing Queen, you don't need to feel bad. I just need to stop complaining. No, I'm glad we're here for you, sincerely. Trust me, like, I get it. Women go through so much, and that's one thing that I wanted to bring to light sometimes, No, I don't make videos on misogyny. Every single video, anybody that's been subscribed to me for any amount of time knows I don't talk about misogyny every single one of my videos. But a lot of people bring up, I call them red pill talking points. It's like the same camp of people, usually, not always, though. I don't want to peg everybody as like the same morality, but they'll say, um, I totally lost my train of thought on what red pill talking point I was just going to talk about. Um, no moonshine. It's just water. Oh gosh, I could not sip on moonshine like that. I would die. I wouldn't be able to talk to you guys. I used to like my tequila, I'm not gonna lie, but in my middle age, I can't do liquor the same. I really can't. If I drink, it's like light beer, and that is it. Oh, red pill people say it's we live in a gynocentric society. And like I refuse to believe that. If we lived in a gynocentric society, we wouldn't have to do nurse ins and like convince a good portion of our population. I know not everybody is like prude about breastfeeding, but like the nurses we had around like 2012 or something, where women were insisting on like stores letting them breastfeed in their stores and stuff. And I'm like, is this the same country that I grew up in when like every single movie I saw in the movie theater as a young teenager had boobs on the screen and like, but now like women are trying to like prove they should be able to breastfeed in public. And periods would be more normalized. Like the way women treat periods, like it shows how polite we are, really. Like, in my opinion, like if I really like imagine the world if men had periods, if men had bloody tampons, if men, could you imagine the pranks they might pull on each other? Can you imagine? Like, I really do believe, and I'm not saying this like, oh, they're babies. I'm not saying it like that. I genuinely don't mean it like that. I mean it like the world would revolve around the fact that most adult men bleed for upwards of a week a month. That's all. There'd be like period, like, there would always be free and available products in every bathroom. There'd be like support. We might even have days off. And like I've always felt like, where our pain is dismissed by the medical profession, and that's women too. It's not just men doing it to women. But people don't take it seriously. You've been watching college football all day, Joseph? Fishing queen, you probably should be sipping on some moonshine. You got some Yoder? You sipping your apple pie? Hi, James. How are you? Yes, married. We should just have a. I need to have one of those like running, like, like those, what is it called? Like ticker banner? Is that what it is? Or it's like the words running across the screen. And we'll be like, like our little, whatever we're saying. And then at the very end, it'll be like, and I'm married. Fishing queen, you are welcome to rant here. You're going through it, and obviously people here know your pain. Yes, fishing queen, just like now, I laid on my back for the last 5 to 10 minutes, rolled over and bled through again. It's the worst birthday ever. Oh, I didn't even say happy birthday to you because I'm so sorry. Happy birthday. I promise your next birthday will be better. It will be, okay? We're gonna get you better. You can't be living like this, you know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. If there's so many if men suffer the way that so many women do, and like it's because it's so dismissed overall. Like it's easy to do on a micro level. And I don't mean that towards anybody in my personal life. I just like I'm saying I've experienced it. Like period pain can be so bad, and it's like, but what do you do for that? It's a normal part of life. And it should be normal. It shouldn't be so painful. But yeah. The women that don't have bad cramps, they're like, okay, I'm gonna say something horrible, hot take. Women that don't have bad cramps are part of the problem. I'm really tired of women that don't have issues being like, that doesn't hurt. I don't have cramps. That biopsy didn't hurt me. Getting my IUD didn't hurt me. When it's like clearly most women are in horrible pain when they get IUDs, but there always has to be, there's always that. And every time I see that woman, I'm like, you're why doctors think we're all lying. But like, obviously, you're the outlier, Like, I don't know what's going on with you. I almost think like, not to be TMI, but like, can you even have an orgasm? Like, is there something wrong with your nerves? Can you feel anything? Can you feel anything in there? If you didn't feel that, like, and it just gets to me. It's like we dismiss our own pain to each other. Like, if you don't have pain and somebody else is talking about a painful condition, if somebody has arthritis and you don't have arthritis, you're not like, oh well, I don't have arthritis. But for some reason, like I'm glad that's not happening right now. And most of the time when women are talking about their pain, there has to be some woman that's like, I've never had period cramps. I've never known anybody that had period cramps. I just want to scream. Okay, I'm done. You're welcome to rant here. Oh, I already read that. Bro, the boys' bathroom would be way worse than it already is. Could you imagine? Vapcap said, I've seen a lot of, okay, so I've seen a lot of men on the internet try to claim that they worked at jobs where they had to clean men's and women's bathrooms, and the women's are always worse. And I'm like, I don't know about that because just the smell emanating from men's bathrooms usually, I'm like, oh my gosh, it must be gross. And there's so many times in my 15-year marriage, we both used the bathrooms and like walked out and like usually we're like, oh, those were nice, or I'd be like, ooh, that was disgusting. And there's I can't tell you how many times. Usually my husband's like, oh, it was disgusting. There was piss on the floor and this and that. And I'm like, oh, it was nice and clean. But that's how much like some people, like, I swear to gosh, I've had people tell me, there's no hardworking women in any factory or warehouse. Like we all just sit around. Like we wouldn't keep your job if you literally didn't work, For the okay, I already read that. Have you considered opening Labubu's? No, God servant, I wouldn't open Labubu's on my channel. Um, I'm like such a contrarian. I wouldn't want a Labubu because of how popular that they are. Fendi, so if I decide to get into dating again, I'm just keeping it short term, nothing more. Fendi, that's well, that's a good. I'm glad you're concentrating on yourself. Seriously, that's the way it should be. People that are Fendi, I'm not sure if you're a male or a female, but either way, females that are male centered, oh my gosh, like, males usually aren't female centered. Eh, but yeah, there's a male-centered woman, that's, like, one thing. Even if you're married, to decenter men is a good thing to do. You um, to put yourself first, basically. You should be okay whether you're with somebody or not, right? I think you take a completely rational stance on men and women's relationships, GH said. Oh, I take that as a win. Thank you, GH. Sam, at least it's very complimentary. I open Labubus to cheer myself up, God's servant letter said. Well, I'm glad it cheers you up. Do whatever cheers you up. Fishing queen about cap LOL. It would be like the videos of the toilet paper they put underwater and throw it against the wall. GH, it's the people who try to convince you men and women are the same that drive me insane. Oh yeah, no, I definitely think we're complementary. And it's in Jungian psychology, which I do want to do more reading from the He book tomorrow, probably. But like Jung described, there's the inner anima. I always get these mixed up. Animas in women, animus in men. There's an inner masculine in women, inner feminine in men. Most women are female dominant, most men are masculine dominant, but feminine you still it's important to be in touch with the other side of yourself, right? And so I bring up misogyny when and where I do because it's not to bash the men that are misogynistic. Like we really are products of our environment. Women are misogynistic too. Women hate and objectify women. I'd almost venture to say is just as much as men in these days. But it's to in hopes that people learn and grow from it and realize like instead of walking around angry, like it can at least help explain to you like why some women do have such horrible and poor attitudes. Is it a reason? Is it a good excuse for them? Is it to excuse their bad behaviors? No, but like hopefully it does help people. Fendi, I'm the exact opposite. I'm never wasting my time on a relationship again unless it's long term and serious. I can't get hurt over and over. Oh, Vapcap, that makes my heart hurt for you. I know breaking up is hard, and you're young, you love so hard, but like just hang in there. And if you want a partner, like once you find that person, all the breakups you went through, like, will be worth it. Um, but yeah, like Taylor Swift finally getting I shouldn't oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said that. It's like at first I was like, "Oh, it's fine that she's dating around. She's a young person." But then like, the last few years it's just like I'm so sick of hearing of her. I just want her to get married and go sit down and shut up. I am not a Swiftie at all, obviously. You should consider it, Yoder family. Unboxing Labubu's Godservant. Joshmo, why are the moderators timing me out? I didn't see your comments, Joshmo. Oh, I'll show Samo's comment. If it's painful, why women get hornier on their periods. I think, well, I think most women that like are actually being intimate are in pain, in my opinion, or they can't be in that much pain. You would not want to be intimate. In my opinion, it has to do with not being able to get pregnant. There's like, you guys don't understand. If you don't want to be pregnant, you're thinking about it in every interaction. If you do want to be pregnant, you're thinking about it in every single interaction. A healthy-minded woman, her fertility is constantly on her mind when she is sexually active. And that's one thing I wish that men could grasp, just like for their own sake, once again, like to see, like really put yourself in the shoes of the person that conceives the baby. And then after you are intimate and you're not using birth control every single day. And I am very anxious, so I shouldn't speak for everybody, but I do think this is more common than not. And maybe I'm extra. I am neurotic. I'll say, you know what I mean? I'm the extra high version of this, whatever you want to say. You're thinking every day till you start your period. Am I pregnant? Am I pregnant? Am I pregnant? Is this a pregnancy sign? Like men really, we don't voice to you because we would sound crazy. If I voiced to my husband how much I thought about pregnancy and worried about pregnancy, like, and I think he would be nice. Like he is sweet. Like when I'm in pain, like what Fishing Queen is going through, I'll do the same thing to him. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I know I sound like a broken record, but I can't help it. Oh my gosh. And like he never gives me shit for that. He's always sweet when I talk a lot to him and he's let me talk through something. But, I know a lot of people wouldn't be Mel said to me, "My mom didn't complain or my sisters, me, Dester, I'm not your mom." Oh my gosh, yeah. Every woman's different, and now with all the insults in our environment, like even if you eat super clean, you might live like near a bunch of farmland that sprays a bunch of glyphosate. Who the fuck knows might be like messing with your endocrine disruptors, like GH. I mean, I would find it strange if there was pee on the floor in a woman's bathroom. It would almost have to be intentional, right? Women do some intentional weird shit too. Don't get me wrong. You've seen a lot of weird stuff that I'm like, okay. And it's like almost even grosser. It's like you really tried to do this. Fendi said, I'm a man. Cool, Fendi. I'm glad to know that. Thank you for telling me. Not that it matters either way, but I'm I really hope you find a country you like. I'm happy to hear you have options. Fishing queen. I don't use tampons. I only use pads. I know if I should switch. Don't know if I should switch. Yeah, it sounds like you need bigger ones. Good night, HK. Samo. Some try to do it standing up on their period. Is that what you mean? I don't know what you mean by that. But yeah, I think a lot of it has to do like in not to be too TMI too, but when you're on your period, it's like it's kind of easy. It's like I'm okay. I'm gonna stop with. I'm gonna stop. Don't get me started on the Taylor Swift worship. She is a billionaire, and I don't think there's any such thing as an ethical billionaire. So I didn't like her ever officially ever since she became a billionaire. There's a rumor Tay Tay is the daughter of Anton LaVey. Jay Hardy, that is so interesting. Oh my gosh. Now, am I thinking of Anton LaVey? Wasn't he one with the arched eyebrows? I know who Anton LaVey is, but I always get him confused with who was the other Alfred Crowley, Satanist. It's all the blood flow. Oh yeah, okay, Yoder. Of course, Yoder comes in with the actual science. Samo, what makes women, like you were talking about on their period, is all the blood flow down yonder, swallowing it up, making you swell and want sex. After her surgery, it was the same thing. I'm sorry not to laugh at you, Anna. I'm so sorry. Definitely wasn't like that after hysterectomy. Jay Hardy said never used contraceptives, only had 7 kids. Oh wow. Good for you. That's nice. That's a bunch of kids. I hope they're all well, Jay Hardy. Amethyst, how are you doing? I love Amethyst. Samo, wait, Yoder is a woman. Yeah, Yoder is Anna. I go back and forth between calling her Anna and Yoder. If you ever hear me say Anna, I'm talking about Yoder family farm life. Hi, Richard. How are you doing? So there's been talk like China says at the end of next year they're going to have baby incubating robots. Has anybody else heard of this? There's they're basing it on the fact they have these bio bags that they can finish premature lambs gestation in. But this is like obviously that's completely different. A premature lamb compared to a embryo in eh, what? So that is really interesting to add to the conversation. I didn't we'll see where that goes. JK, I've had 2 friends with difficulty conceiving after receiving 2 doses of the CV vaccine. I pronounce it wrong on purpose. I'm sorry to hear that, JK. That's awful. Hi, Kiro. How are you? Do they really, or is it just propaganda? Um, Gosh, I feel so dumb, Fendi. I don't know what you're talking about. That's why my brain fog is so bad. Fendi, if you want me to answer, can you tell me what you're talking about? Did they really, or is it just propaganda? What exactly were you talking about? I bounce around subjects so much. Another interesting baby making robots. Thank you. Well, I mean, a lot of bigger reports were done on it, and that's what they're saying. It's the end of next year. That's what I'm saying. Like, oh, we'll see what comes of that. They could just be trying to get funding, but their birth rate from having the one child policy for so long, they took that away a while ago, but their birth rate is bad. It's like they're going to have like half as many people as in China right now. Gosh, it's like sometime soon. It might have been within our lifetime. I didn't write that statistic down because I don't really care that much about China. I know that sounds horrible. I care about China. I like to watch a China Observer channel. They have like lots of neat documentary style things about China, like the Chinese people. But when it comes to the government and the numbers that their government puts out, I don't believe what a communist government says. That's what I meant about that. That came out wrong. And I know the same could be said with a lot of things. But yeah, it could just be propaganda for sure, because like they said, the end of next year, basing it off a bio bag because of premature animals. Like to gestate an embryo and to give it the nutrition required, like I don't think that it's scientifically ethical to even try to do that. But like they're doing all sorts of crazy stuff. They have like tiny, I don't know exactly how to describe it. They're like little brains. They're not brains, but they're like human brain cells, and they make computers that use them, and they like die off. So you have to like replenish whatever your little motherboard with your little human brain cells. You guys know what I'm talking about? That really is a thing. So it's like, if these are the things they're telling us about, like I'm sure there's things I don't even want to say out loud that's taken place in labs, and it's really sad to think about because I do believe people have souls, but then you kind of wonder, would somebody like made completely in a like they say they can make lab grown meat from human skin cells. So, kind of crazy to think about. At a certain point, are they going to be able to take somebody's DNA and somehow make an egg or a sperm or make a fertilized egg, make a zygote with it or something? Like, I don't, that's way over my head. GH said, I think it's real in China. They definitely have three people to make a baby process where they take an egg and put it in another woman after genetic modification. Yeah, they've done a lot of crazy stuff with the genetic modification, and it's really weird to think of the future possibly, especially it's out of our reach. We're going to be too poor to get fertility treatment in general. I'm talking about like people that aren't elite. It's at this rate, in my opinion, between the sperm count and everything else, like people aren't going to be able to get pregnant naturally. Is easily maybe it will even be like 1984 where there's just like baby making factories where all the babies are like, made in a factory. One miscarriage, one not able without in vitro, still struggling. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Jay. I'm calling you JK. I just realized, is it J Kilo? Is that right? I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you're not struggling too much longer. Spiritual beings having a human experience. Yes, Jay Hardy. But and I hesitate to say this because I don't mean this about IVF babies. They have parents, but you know what I mean? If they ever get to the point where they can make a human baby that like technically doesn't have parents or it doesn't come from an egg and a sperm, it's just wild to me that they can take a human skin cell and turn it into flesh to eat. They're already growing baby sheep now in fake uterus, Yoder said. Right, right. And, I think, in my opinion, they know, you know what I mean? I mean, they're out there about how they think I don't think Mars is ever gonna be colonized. That's, like, so silly. What happens when you have too much time on your hands? That's what I was saying earlier, like, we're meant to, like, struggle a little bit, and, like, we're meant to try hard to survive. When you don't have to, you turn into somebody like Elon Musk. Like Yoder, don't be sorry. I'm not going to be on here that much longer, girl. I'm just probably going to get off here around midnight anyways. We'll miss you, but I hope you get good rest and you feel better tomorrow. Um, oh, love you. Bye, Anna. Hi, David. How are you doing? But yeah, if they completely, this is another thing when you're talking about like in vitro and stuff like that. Good night, GH. Thank you for participating so much. It was fun talking to you. I hope you sleep well. It is really interesting that sperm is really cheap when you go to a sperm bank, and eggs are very expensive. Now, I know the harvesting of eggs is a much more invasive, difficult medical procedure, right? And like the harvesting of sperm isn't even technically a medical procedure, right? But so I don't think that really like accounts for all of the cost of it though, it's because of course there's way fewer eggs than sperm, and, like, this is not oh gosh, this is gonna come up. This is not meaning men are less valuable than women at all, I don't mean it at all, but it is very, very interesting that we are one of few species where the female lives for so long beyond her fertile years. Men are always creating that sperm. It's, like, so abundant, there's an abundance, always will be, even with low sperm counts, they'll still be able to find some, but, like, when it comes to women and their viability and the health of their eggs, a lot of people with money are like encouraging women, oh, freeze your eggs. Like it's just that easy for all of us to do. It's not. But that's not to say women are more valuable than men, okay? but it does say a lot about how we have evolved because we are so important. Grandmothers are so important. Mothers are so important. And I'm not saying that like men are disposable, but really think about like the value mothers and grandmothers add to the community. How many of you rely on your mother more than your father? Rely on your grandmother more than your grandfather? You know what I mean? Their whole family. Who do they go to? when they need something? And women have evolved to not be fertile and dedicate the latter quarter of their lives to their family, their community. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And that is also something that like we need to cherish. We need to honor. It's part of this whole cycle going to shit, in my opinion. You might not think of that. I know it might be weird, but we don't respect our elders. We're so ageist, myself included. We look down on old people so much. We don't take care of them. No, we don't. We don't respect them. And overall, as a society, I'm saying. And if we would really revere them and look at the woman, the crone, the elderly woman who is one of the biggest influences on most people's lives is the woman they go to. Let's be real. If you do have a man in your life that's like really strong, solid, good man to talk to, will listen to you, give you good advice, that's awesome too. I know that they're out there. Okay. I know that they're out there. And a big problem is men aren't socialized as much to do that. And women, we cultivate friendships. We're just like, we tend to, not always, okay? There's always going to be exceptions, but we tend to be the cultivators of relationships. We tend to be the ones in the marriage that, we're making all the plans with the family, even our husband's family. Like, and that's not necessarily fair either. It's another reason why a lot of women that are younger are seeing their older female counterparts like not get helped with the child rearing, and they decided they'd rather focus on themselves, and I can't completely blame them for that. Like, my husband is exceptional. I'm sure some of you guys are exceptional too. Yes, you are busy working, that's the thing. The good guys are doing their part, and I always said my husband is the reason why I could be a stay-at-home mom, so it goes both ways, right? But there's a lot of guys that aren't there supporting in that way either. But, it is hard when you work 14-hour days to be present, so trust me, I get that. But then you make up for it in quality time, and they've proven that. Like, if you do work a lot, you don't see your kids that much, the quality of time you spend with them is, like, usually better. So that's, I don't ever mean to come off as like you're not a good parent unless you stay at home with your kids. I think kids in their most formative years, like, honestly, 0 to 3, like, I think ideally they'd have a stay-at-home parent. But yes, women, once again, this is not to say we're better. We just tend to like cultivate the friendships and relationships, and that's a lot of divorces happen. The man doesn't have the same community because it was his woman that did that. If you're not in that boat, good for you. Like that's fair. That ideally you won't be, but and it's happened. Whether or not we're in relationships, we tend to have like a few more friends, and and it's really sad what's going on. Humans will ruin Mars too. Samuel, I just now saw that. Yes, no, you're totally right. They probably already have. In my opinion, they might have done it in a cycle before this. But yes, I think that we need to honor elderly women in the way that a lot of women have seen women be treated throughout their lives. Just makes them like throw their hands up in the air and be like, "Fuck it." And it kind of makes me sad that some of those might be missing out on the opportunity to have a partner in life and raise family and have grandchildren with them when that might have been more fulfilling to them. I'll just say it. But like, I also don't blame them at all in this world. And I understand there's plenty of men that feel the same way. They've had bad experience after bad experience, and, it seems like kind of the same complaint. There's a lot of selfish women. There's a lot of selfish men too, and to be in service of somebody else will only make you better. And that is like what marriage is all about, ideally. And yeah, I mentioned this earlier and I wanted to reiterate it because it was a comment somebody made and they said men are gatekeepers too. And I agree, they should be. Men should be looking at gatekeeping their fertility. Honestly, like good men do. They don't think with their, and I said that women are the gatekeepers. Like once the pregnancy occurs, it's the woman who has complete control, right? That's the way it is. As a woman myself, I'm glad that's the way it is, but I also see it from the male perspective. Why that's not always ideal. And I can commiserate, like that would be awful if you wanted the woman to keep the pregnancy and you have no control, and she ends up getting rid of the pregnancy. So, yeah, that is horrible. I'm assuming it was a man who left the comment saying, "Hey, men are gatekeepers too." And I was like, actually, yeah, you're right. Good attitude to have. Keep that attitude, like be really careful who you sleep with. And I already mentioned the age differences. Like it used to be so much more common. Like the rules used to be a little more lax. Women started having babies a lot younger. I thought in the 70s, the first age being 18, I thought that was low. And then hearing Dolly Parton's mom talking about having a baby, her mom started at 15 and everything. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's not ideal in my opinion. I'm glad things are changing, but the drastic changes I think are things everybody can feel. It's built into our operating system, Jay Hardy said. To work hard. Yeah, and I think that, that's I say that I don't want to come off like women do everything. Like it should be a fine balance, right? Like women that are homemakers and the matriarchs of the family are responsible for the nurturing, cap. So glad I have lots of friends after my breakup, even at the YMCA. I have people that I see on a regular basis. My best friend has known me since second grade. That is so precious. Keep treating those friends like gold. Not that you don't, but my biggest advice I always give, especially to my kids, like you never know. I've lost some friends, you've had friends since second grade. That is really a blessing. And I'm sure you treat them well, but they really are worth more than their weight in gold, really. More than anything. Pyramid. I was getting ready to go soon, but I'm glad you stopped to say hi. How are you? Thank you for giving me a thumbs up. Hey, Claire, how are you doing tonight? So, yeah, women are having babies way later. And of course, that lends for less fertile time, so equals less babies. It's really interesting. Just think about basically since the year 2000. Gosh, I'm sorry. Had to been after 2007. The women that are 24 and under aren't having babies. They aren't having babies. The women that are 24 to 39, their rate hasn't dropped. It's this large number of people that are very young during their most fertile years not having babies. That is a very interesting thing to think about. There's no replacement for a long-term friend, Claire said. Yes. Samo, that is true. Friends change too, unfortunately. That is true. Jay Hardy, mom, chauffeur, nanny, physiology, chef, prom, mom's rule. Yes. Bendy, yeah, there's some stuff to help with arthritis. It's called Jamaican black castor oil. It's got to be organic and hexane free. Thought you might be interested in that. I am going to write that down. I think I've heard of that before, but I've never tried it. I've definitely had castor oil and made like castor oil packs, but not Jamaican black. And yes, I would definitely make sure that it's like organic because castor oil can be nasty if it's not like, if it's overly processed or whatever. Well, does anybody want to talk about anything else? I'm about to go. I thought I had some interesting facts, and then it's funny. It's like often I'll like read my mortgage. My why was I going to say mortgage? I'll read my mortgage. What? I'll read my script, and I'll be like, oh, that was dry. Like I didn't like it, and then I usually like wait a day or two and re-listen to it. I'm like, oh, it wasn't so bad. But I always get like stage fright after the fact. Jay Hardy, thank you. That's so nice of you. Thank you very much. Hi, John Henry. I remember you. How are you doing? I hope you're good. Claire said, I know three different people my age that got their tubes tied. It's crazy. I don't know how old you are, Claire. It looks like you're really young in your picture, your tiny picture. Thank you, Jay Hardy. I appreciate it. I will make sure it says hexane free. Thank you, Fendi. Oh, John Henry, it's okay. I did get through my notes already. Basically, like to sum it up, there's a definite cultural shift, and it's a lot of women under 24 got their tubes tied. 24 and under, like not having babies at all. And it's like 24 to 39. Their birth rate hasn't like changed so much since 2007. The Rooker asked a good question. What was wrong with Indiana? What made you leave? So, okay, so this is First thing that comes to mind, the first house we bought, we had no idea. We told the realtor we wanted a garden, we wanted as big of a yard as possible. Day of closing, she said, "Don't drink the water." Ha 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 ha, literally laughing, talking about there was a groundwater, a chemical spill. It used to be on well water. This subdivision was like right on the edge of it was technically right on the edge of town. Oh yeah, 15 years ago there was this chemical spill. That's why it was taken off of well water. Your spigots were on well water, so I didn't use my spigots. I had to have this huge garden and I had to like hook the hose hooked up to my utility sink for my garage. And so yeah, I felt like the groundwater was contaminated. Honestly, I didn't even grow food for like a year, and then I was like, screw it. If I put raised beds, like I still feel weird about that, but like I didn't grow fruit trees because of the deeper roots. And they say it's fine. They say it's okay. Of course, there's the cornfields growing. There's cows grazing on this land where the chemical spill was so bad, a man went to prison over it. And that was the number one reason. As soon as we moved into that house, I was like, "Oh gosh," like, it was like a brick ranch house. It was the kinda thing it was like this one of the smaller, older, outdated homes in a really nice neighborhood, and, like, we tend to do that, like, we're, like, always one of the junkiest houses on our street. Not that we're junky, but you know what I mean, like, I prefer to have a nicer neighborhood, but, like, we can't afford to be, like, the nicer house in the nicer neighborhood. So anyways, it was sad to me because it was a great, great neighborhood. I would have loved to stay there, maybe even indefinitely, if it wasn't for the groundwater being contaminated. And then I had been there off and on since I was 8 years old in a small town, but the immigration issue, it was just like traffic, like I'm not gonna move out of a town because of pedestrians walking around, but it was just the congestion and it's like so different. And I'm not against immigration. I'm against letting millions of people come in a few years, changing demographics in an area, taking away housing and resources from people that live there. And why can they live like 20 people in a house? None of us could do that. None of us could rent a house and have 20 people in it. None of us could get an apartment and have 20 people in it. Why do they get to do it? Like it's just it'd be nice as a, young person if we could have done that. But anyways, I really do feel like people are more polite down here, but I'm gonna be honest, like if you have school-age children, unless I would move to a big town or a city, and then you're dealing with all the problems with schools and cities, it's like there's a cliquish mentality. Adults are great, but the younger kids, teenagers, mm, you know, my kids made a good friend group, but at the same time, like I almost wish we would have stayed in Indiana just so my kids could finish high school because my um yeah, I think I answered that well enough. So you should ask so many questions. You can't trust anything a realtor says. You have to double check everything yourself. Realtors can literally lie to your face. I was just listening to a guy who flips land for a living and has for a long time. Some guy from North Carolina. I forget the name of his channel, but he was saying that like one time they bought this land, trusted the realtor. Oh, and like they had an attorney, the real estate attorney in the room. And then when he turned around and like when he was trying to sell it 8 years later and told them like you told me this easement allowed access to the property and they're like we never said that. But he's like I know that they said that. I'm like that can happen unless you're going to take them to court. Like this happens so much. Real estate agents lie. I'm not going to say supposedly allegedly. I'm not. Why did I say that? Real estate agents lie. They lie. They're liars that lie. Don't trust a real estate agent. Literally anything you have to go double check yourself. Anything super important, the title company, they're going to make sure there's no liens. They're going to make sure all the T's and whatever are crossed and dotted. Like you don't need a real estate agent. You really don't. They might make it easier to make appointments because when you're calling around yourself, sometimes it's hard as fuck to get an appointment. But I can't stress it enough. Like they lie about things that are really important. Anybody that's like walking into like purchasing a home, don't feel, don't sign any piece of paper saying I'm working exclusively with you. Unless, like, you know for a fact it's some great fancy realtor that's gonna really improve your life, and, like, you have, like, a $500,000 budget. Because any great realtor, in my opinion, they're only gonna help wealthy people. Of course, like, if you have all this expertise, why would you just make 1,000, 2,000, $3,000 compared to, like, 50, you know? It just makes sense, right? It's just like everything else. I hate realtors. I'm sorry. And I'm like, okay, there's like one person who's like a kind person, really trying to help people. Like, I get it. I shouldn't be so hateful. But that's how much we've been screwed over. We did our first house for sale by owner. And then when we sold our land last time, we just like felt like we shouldn't do it all by ourselves. I swear that realtor screwed us over. I had a woman coming to my door, knocking on my door, saying, "Your realtor won't answer me. I have cash in hand and he won't answer me." And he was obviously like too busy to make appointments, and then, like, when we were closing, he asked to meet in a parking lot, and it was, like, 95-degree weather, and he's like, "Can you meet me in the parking lot of this fair my teenage son is at?" I was like, "What? No. No." He was one of the, like, big fancy realtors that was, like, put on this big show of, like, "Oh, I sell this amount of volume," or whatever, and it was a mistake. To be honest, I'm an introverted person, so I don't really need people like that. I used to care more about having friends, but not too. Indeed, that's good. Thanks, double A. I am married. Just disclaimer, I'm married. Stephen, the birth rate is plummeting because women treat men like garbage and we got sick of it. Okay, well, as I mentioned earlier, I'm sure that's true with some men, of course. Like some men are opting out, but it seems to be the women who are really opting out, because if women really wanted to get pregnant, they could go to a sperm bank and get sperm, right? But they're not doing that. And it's like the youngest, most fertile women are not having any babies. Like it's really dropped the amount of babies per woman has dropped to 24 and under significantly. And I think that's really telling. And no offense, Stephen, but I think you and I both know it's not like just like men like refusing to touch women. I'm sorry. I'm in a goofy mood. I really try so hard, but it's like, um, yes, men should be in control of their fertility. They should be deciding, I don't want to get married if they're being treated badly, of course. I've been married for 15 years. I know a lot of married people. It's definitely, not for the selfish, not for the weak. And I think there's a lot of narcissism being contrived. We're all narcissistic more so than when we're younger. We have to be, and then we grow up out of it. But the problem is not enough people are growing up. And then social media as well as adult media is ruining men and women's minds. The adult media, the men, the social media, the women. Lynn says birth rate is declining due to microplastics. Lynn, I'm sure you're environmental causes are definitely part of it, and I'm sure that's part of it. Especially the sperm rate is declining like year, isn't it declining by 1% a year, at least in our country? 1% a year, that's pretty crazy. So what in less than 100 years, men won't have any viable sperm? Like Jay Hardy, I worked with this guy prophet one time who spoke of Mormon prophecy, Ani and Diamond prophecy about the second coming. Yeah, and that thing you left, the Adam, and I don't wanna mispronounce it. I looked it up and I couldn't find anything about it, Jay Hardy. What did he say about it? What interested you about it? Fendi said you also heard about that, like, by 2030. I don't know what you're talking about, Fendi, the sperm rate declining by 2030? I just heard that, like, however long they've been studying it, it's been several years now, it's, like, seriously declining. Tyler, are you asking if I have a 401k? And the answer is no. I've barely worked a job in my adult life. I did make weighted therapy products by hand for money for like 8 years. Adam and Diaomint prophecy. Oh, I think is that Andy. Okay. I'm gonna look that up. I asked Anna, I don't know if she answered me yet, but I would like to do a live with Anna. I'll probably do more than one, but I would like to do more research. I want to do some things on lost books in the Bible. She told me about one I never even heard of before. It started with an A, and yes, I think it'd be interesting to do some topics like the stuff I'm interested in is like, the Nephilims, the giants. I know Jay Hardy, you mentioned those. Yeah, the Rooker. I made weighted blankets. Do you know what weighted blankets are? You usually like 5% plus 1 pound. 5% of the person's body weight plus 1 pound is a typical equation. And I had a son with sensory issues. The only weighted blankets I could find online were $200 and they were 5 pounds. So I decided to get a sewing machine, the fabric, the pellets, and I made my own. for $200, got everything I needed to make them, and I started making them for sale. The Book of Enoch is definitely going to be. Yes, Fendi, I saw you said you also heard about that, like, by 2030, and I said, "Is that the sperm count thing you're talking about?" And I read your one before that, that you're introverted. I don't know if you're missing my comments. I really, really liked West oh my god, Woodward TV. I knew that wasn't right. Woodward TV is who even I didn't know about Lost Books of the Bible till what, like 6 years ago? And that was a YouTube channel. So I really just love YouTube. I love people's ability to make content on whatever they want. I can't even like I'm not saying I'll never watch Hulu or Netflix again, but I don't really watch anything but YouTube. The 2030 plan, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Well, it is getting late. I feel like I'm just sitting here staring at the screen half the time. But yes, there's many factors going into the lowering birth rate for sure. There's like several factors. A lot of it is definitely environmental. And I understand why people keep 2039 total control plan. Oh, I thought it was more about getting rid of cash and having a digital ID. I see. Okay, I'm sorry. It, I for some reason 2030, like I did not recognize that at all, but now I remember what you guys are talking about. It's like the big thing Trump said, I don't even know about that. And then it's like, of course, like, yes, he now it's all happening. But yeah, I totally agree that I thought it was more about getting rid of cash, having a digital ID. VapCap said, yeah, the real ID and everything. I think people that watch me probably can tell I'm like a bit of a conspiracy theorist, or I'm open to most conspiracy theories, and I absolutely do believe some bigger plan is taking place right now, right? And I got a real ID that was just like cheaper, and I'm one of these people. I'm like, just it is what it is. But yes, I do believe that they're trying to make it so we own nothing and are happy. What was that Klaus Schwab quote? It's so creepy. Just get your passport to avoid real ID. Oh yeah, that is a good. I thought you had to have a real ID to get a passport, though. I thought that was part of it. You have to have a real ID to get on a plane. Are you saying if you have a passport, then you don't need the real ID to travel? See, I didn't know that. I was just like, "Oh, it's like" and they know what they're doing. Poor people like me, it's like, "Oh, you have to come back, like, 3 years sooner, and it's twice as much." But, like, it'll be cheaper and last longer. Do you get into the 911 conspiracies? The Rooker, yeah, I believe that was an inside job. That 3rd building collapsing, come on. And I respect anybody that doesn't believe, but, like, and you know how difficult it would be for an air for especially a newer pilot, newer a person newer to planes to maneuver those maneuvers and hit the I don't believe I'm only have the nerve to say this at the end of like a hour and a half long live. I don't believe in any of that. And it's a shame because it did change our country forever. I'll never forget the moment I found out about it in my first period class. It was in my oh my gosh, AutoCAD class. And yeah, I saw the plane hit the second tower. We already had the TV on. So it's absolutely horrible, and I feel horrible. Like, I don't mean to dismiss any of the people affected, any of the people that passed away. Like, conspiracy theories, people are attached to demons via a ring or necklace. Oh, Joseph. I definitely think some people are attached to demons. I think there might be some truth to a lot of people, like, people like walking around talking to themselves, like the voices that they hear, might be otherworldly. The rocker that was it could be a possibility, not always. I'm saying it could be a possibility. And I've seen some other people say that it's just some like anyways, now I'm all over the place for real. Fandy, it's not really conspiracies at this point, to be honest. A lot of them are coming true. Right? Yeah, it used to be like you were written off if you believed in aliens. Now they admit that there are aliens for sure. Now we use AutoCAD to 3D print houses. Do you still use it or Blender? Oh, no, I just took that. That was in freshman year of AppCap, and the only reason I took it was because I didn't want to do print typing. It was like how, every year in middle school we had a typing class, and then it was like, so if you don't want to take typing, you have to take this or that. And I was like, oh, I just, I did like it. And I've mentioned before, I have a small interest in architecture. I really like the design of buildings and like to learn about the different eras. I love houses. So I love old houses and like, um, learning about different architecture like Gothic revival, Greek, classic, early American colonial. Like, I just love, and ever since, hi Javier, how are you doing tonight? It, Somebody said ever since the 50s, was it? Or is it the 20s? It's like it literally, there was like a decade architecture stopped being beautiful in our country, and it's so true. Gosh, I think it was before the 50s. Not that there weren't cool buildings, mid-century buildings, there were some cool designs. It's probably like the last of the coolness kind of fading out. But yeah, Yoder went I'm such a mama. Yoder went night night. So it's just gonna come out of my mouth. Yoder said goodnight a few minutes ago. She is recovering from surgery, poor thing. I guess she didn't have a good day today. So somebody needs to make up new conspiracies because we're running out of them. Fendi, that's funny. Jay Hardy, fine 3D print your house's a-holes. That's funny. Jay Hardy is a general contractor. Yeah, but that's what I was just saying about architecture. Nothing's going to be as well made and as beautiful as something made by hand, right, Jay Hardy? But, it is what it is. We're all meant to be here at this time, so I'm not complaining. But it is interesting. And I watched a really good YouTube video months ago where this woman was speculating that the poor design and architecture plays on our mood. And one reason why people aren't maybe as happy and fulfilled as they used to be is because of all this bland, ugly design we have. Like, you know how beautiful a building can be, and then like most of our buildings are just literal boxes nowadays. Like, think about it, all new building, like the ease and convenience, everything gets thrown up quickly. And I always thought it was fascinating how people put so much time into everything involving a house, and now it's like, "Oh, we simply couldn't." It's not that people couldn't do it, it's just that they don't want to. They don't wanna put the craftsmanship into the woodworking and everything, and that used to be and still is for some men, right, Jay Hardy? That used to be, like, such a source of pride, and I think it does make me sad. Like, when I say, like, there's a lot of men out of the workforce, it's like, I want better for them. I want them to have some ambition for their own sake, because I think we are supposed to create. Cap. LOL, J Hardy, we already have to 3D print houses in Memphis is wild. Cap, you're in Memphis? Hi, Chris, how are you doing? I'm glad we have another Kentuckian. I saw the craziest story about Cap. We're not really talking about the birth rate anymore, just so new people know. There was a incident in Memphis where these people saw this man. Okay, this is warning, this is about children being harmed. He had a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old. He must have been very abusive to them because these kids both ended up in the hospital that same day in critical condition. Right now, one kid is still in critical condition. I guess the other is moved up to stable. But this man was, like, throwing these kids around who had obviously been, like, beaten on. It's so disturbing. And these group of grandmas intervened, and they are like, "We saw what was going on, we grabbed at the kids and went into this laundromat," and then the citizen arrest took place. Like, these people followed him to an apartment complex. He was inside an apartment, and she did mention there was a few men, like, some men helped, like, grab him and hold him till the police got there. So, I thought that was great, and, you know, it was sweet to see all those grandmas working together, but of course, it was freaking sad. Fendi said, "Honestly, I want to live in countryside in Japan and be a part of rural community there." Oh, Fendi, that's so neat. I've watched a lot of house tour videos in, like, rural Japan because 'cause I'm sure you already know, it's, like, very affordable. You can get a very decent house there for, like, way cheaper than you would buy, if you had the same amount of money here. Samo, New York City is an overhyped concrete jungle, for instance. I've been to New York City once and I never, okay, if I had like a ton of money to spend and we were like going on a shopping trip, but even then, I don't, the buildings were so tall and there was so much concrete all around me. It really did feel bad. Like I've been in Indianapolis, Louisville, Miami, Atlanta. I mean, like, I've never been in a city, even the downtown where there's like skyscrapers all around you. New York felt absolutely like suffocating. Jay Hardy, I'm by 3D F3D. I'm buying a framing robot and charging. Oh, double. Hi, Peter. How are you doing tonight? Jay Hardy said false flags. Chris said, I'm good, just not normally up this late. Oh, really? Jay Hardy, AI like Bigfoot pooping at yoga. Cap, I don't watch the news here for reasons, but good for them for helping those kids. That's awesome to hear. That's good people still. Right. I just get the most random news clips showing up. I'm not subscribed to that particular news channel, but it was like feel good. But then when they said the kids were in critical condition, I was like, oh my gosh, what a monster. Like that part's awful. But yeah, it was like several people stepping in to do the right thing is always nice. Yes, I am definitely pro 2A Fendi. It's a complicated issue though, like it, I wish we could do better. I wish there was better GUN control, but there's not. So there's no way to take back all the ones we have in our country. You know what I mean? I used to be more against them. Okay, guys, I'm pretty tired and I have a goal of getting on here every day that I feel like it. I really want to read more from that book. I don't want there to go like several days to go by if anybody is catching up with keeping up with it. You know what I mean? We don't want to lose your attention. So hopefully I see you tomorrow. I might do one during the day and hope y'all have a great Sunday and a great end to your weekend. Thank you for sticking around so long, Jay Hardy, Fendi, Vapcap. Chris, I know you just got in here, but good night to you. Good night, Javier. Good night, Samo. Good night, Joseph. Good night, the Rooker. I feel bad when I like leave and I don't say good night to people that have been here a while. Jay Hardy, thank you. That's a nice good night. I feel greedy saying that. Okay. I love you all, and hopefully I see you tomorrow. Bye.